Hey cutie. Welcome back or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Laura. Hi, hello, welcome. I'm a little grossed out with this video today, if I'm being honest. We are talking about my oldest makeup products in my collection, and if just talking about them wasn't enough, we actually are taking the day to apply them on the face as I talk about my oldest products. We're actually going to be revisiting a little bit from last year's oldest makeup products to this year's oldest makeup products. A lot of things have changed. A couple things have stayed the same, and I cannot wait to out myself on how old my makeup collection is. You'll have to guess in the comments how old the oldest product that you think I own is. I would love to know. I would love to know. I would also love to know how old your oldest product is in your collection. There's definitely areas in my collection where I have a young, fresh selection, but there's areas where there's some old stuff in this household, which is kind of gross. We are just going to be talking about my oldest makeup. We're revisiting a video that I filmed last year about my oldest products that are in my collection. I thought this would be kind of a fun just way to recap what is the oldest product in my collection a year later. Just kind of reminisce on the old products that used to be in my collection. I wanted to also just film the makeup process to talk to you guys about the products too. Maybe they're going a little like off and they should just kind of leave my collection at this point, that kind of thing. So back a year ago, my oldest eye primer in my collection was a P. Louise base. And that was about, I wrote down that it was about 2 years old in my collection at that point. It was probably closer to 4 years old if I'm taking a real hard look. Time is a really hard thing for like my brain to conceptualize, like how long ago I had bought a product. If I didn't write it down, the knowledge is not there for like how long a product has been in my collection. I'm happy to say I had decluttered that product. Actually, it was something that just didn't really work for me. It was really finicky to use. So now my oldest eye primer is this guy here, and this is a newly opened tube of the Ulta Beauty Matte Eye Primer in nude. This is my favorite eye primer. I've gone through, this is probably my 5th or 6th tube of it. Let me just put this on real quick. They ended up taking this off. Ulta's whole brand looks like it got they rebranded their packaging and just like their products. So they no longer have this matte eye primer in this packaging, and instead they now switched it to this one. So they did actually launch the repackaged version of this product, but man, there was like a solid 2 or 3 weeks when I was going to look for this product and it wasn't on the website anymore, and I was worried. Alternatively, cream eyeshadows. I am gonna put a cream eyeshadow on today. It's not a step I do all the time, but I do also have some older cream eyeshadows. Last year, I mentioned 2 cream, they were actually metallic eyeshadows from Natasha Denona. They were like the silver and the black sparkly liquid eyeshadows. I no longer have those in my collection. I did declutter them. They were drying out. I used them as much as I could before I just kind of parted my ways with them. So now I'm happy to say that these 2 are my oldest cream eyeshadows that I have in my collection. I want to say I brought these into my life in like December 2022-ish time frame. That was approximately when they came into my life. I don't know which one's older technically. I want to say the brown one, but I don't know for sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix these on the back of my hand. This is the shade Zona Rosa. That was in my project, both of these were in my project 24 uses this year. So I just do one of those, and then I'll mix them with either my finger or a brush. Just tap that on as a cream base for my eyeshadows today. I don't do this often. This is not a step I often do anymore. I really only use these cream eyeshadows if like I have a very particular look. So this is Bandit has to wear a cone again, guys. Man, his allergies this year are really putting us through the ringer, man. It has been not a fun situation to deal with. If you have a dog that's suffering with allergies, I feel you. It sucks. Now, I do have my eyeshadows as well listed, and I have a I talked more about my palettes in my last year's video. My true oldest palette was my Tartist Pro palette. And man, I miss that palette. I decluttered that palette. The packaging fell apart and it was over 10 years old. And so I ended up decluttering that palette at some point last year. It was really hard. I loved that palette so much. It was one of my favorites. It was like my staple travel palette. My true oldest eyeshadows by far are all of these loose eyeshadows by BareMinerals. It's specifically my BareMinerals ones. These BareMinerals loose mineral eyeshadows. Do I want to tell you how old they are? No, because it's gross. Will I tell you how old they are? Yes, because I'm gross. These have got to be, they have got to be at least 12 years old at this point. Yeah, and we're going to put them on my eyes today. One of my absolute favorite loose eyeshadows was this shade Shantung. It was so pretty. It's such a pretty eyeshadow, and it always looked so good on my green eyes. I would really like this paired with a like orange, like a super soft creamsicle orange color, and it looked so good. It always really complemented my eye color. So I guess today what we're gonna do is we're gonna use Shantung. I'm literally just taking what was in the cap, swirling it on my brush rather than like tapping into it. The whole shtick with BareMinerals is swirl, tap, buff. Swirl, tap, buff, y'all. Swirl, tap, buff. Because the shade was a little bit darker, I say that, but it's really doesn't look much darker than anything else on my eye right now. I don't have a like cream eyeshadow, so I'm just going to use this one that's in my Pan That palette. My Going Coconuts and my Bare Necessities are also some of my oldest palettes in my collection. So those, oh my gosh, when did we get engaged? Because that was the year I got these palettes. I want to say we just had our 4-year wedding anniversary. So these palettes are 5 or 6 years old in my collection. The Bare Necessities and the Going Coconuts, which are like my rotational Pan That palette. These loose eyeshadows by far take the cake for my oldest products in my collection. I'm actually kind of embarrassed telling you guys that. I have my shades laked out for me. This guy here is going to go all over my mobile lid. This is going to go on my lower lash line. And then this like bluey purple is going to be my liner shade today. But I do want to go in with the NYX Glitter Glue. So I'm going to just put a teeny tiny bit of that on my finger. And hurry up and put these doggone... Ripley's my cat, if you don't know. And he knows how to open closet doors. So he is currently going to go take a nap, if you hear that in the background. He's going in the linen closet right now to take a nap on the towels. Alright, so I'm going to take this Exotic Laura shade. Iconic, it's my name. Not why I bought it. Not why I bought it at all. It came in like a pack of a bunch of shades that I've just been slowly never using. And I always kick myself after I like use one of these shades because they always are so pretty. Like this, it looks so cute on the lid. And like this would be such a perfect color to wear to the office like all year long. This is cute though. I really like this. I do think I am going to put on some of that Center Stage shade, which was the darker shimmer. And I kind of want to just put that in the outer portion. Again, we're just trying to use as many of the loose shadows today as possible because I don't give them a whole lot of attention normally. Ooh, yeah. So we're at a point where I need to just kind of switch over to my base makeup now. I do what I can on my mobile lid first, and then I switch to my base, and then I'll go back with like my lower lash line, which again is going to be some of these BareMinerals shades. But let's just talk about like my complexion products and how times have changed. That back last year, my oldest primer in my collection was the Cover FX Blurring Primer. I purchased that on a super discount from Ulta. It kind of would come out like chunky. It was kind of gross. It worked really well, but it came out chunky. So who knows how old it was when Ulta was selling it versus when I was using it. But I had only had it for a year in my collection, which was really, really exciting for me. I am someone that habitually holds on to products, has a hard time like finishing them up. So having a product that was only in my collection for a year was a huge accomplishment for me. Same thing today. This is my oldest primer in my collection. This is the NYX Marsh Mellow primer. This is actually my second tube of this primer that I've had in my collection. I bought one, used it up, and I received this one for free when I worked at Ulta. I ended up was like, I see this in the free bin. I want this. This smells so good. This has a very light marshmallow scent. It doesn't linger on the skin, but really what this is a pore filling primer. And I would say this primer has more of a whipped texture. Is this cute? It has more of a whipped texture, and it's very soothing on the skin. And I genuinely just love this primer. This might be, out of the primers in my collection, this is definitely my favorite one. Then last year, my oldest foundation is a product you're actually going to hear me talk about in a couple weeks at this point. I filmed all my empties videos. It's going to be posting every Friday for like the next 3 weeks. So if you saw one, you'll see a couple more coming soon. My oldest foundation last year was my BareMinerals Original Liquid Pump Foundation. I had that one in my collection for 3 years at that point. It was 4 years old as of this year. I did end up finishing that product up this year, a little spoiler. And now my oldest foundation is actually in a new, different packaging than it was. This is actually the Fenty Eaze Drops in the shade number 7. I have the shade number 7. And actually right now it was technically a little too light for me at the moment, so I might have to mix this with my concealer that we're going to talk about, so I will just mention that really quickly. My oldest concealer at the moment is going to be the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye. This is in the shade medium. This is a little bit darker than the Fenty Eaze Drops, so I think I'm going to put this on and then just a touch of this guy. I'm really trying to finish this product this year, so we'll see. Ooh, Josh is home with some groceries. I'm going to pause and I'll be right back. So I'm just going to put, again, because I know this is not the right shade, just a couple little spots. And then I will put on a bit of that guy. Again, a little goes a long way of this concealer because it's so full coverage. I really don't need a whole lot of it. So we'll put it there. There. And normally when I'm using this, I am putting it over a cream blush so I can kind of go a little bit more heavy with it. But that's all we're going to do. Concealer, foundation are on. And then just kind of pounce everything out. Last year, my oldest setting powder was, again, another Cover FX product. Another one that I bought on an insane discount from Ulta. Now, today, a year later, I have had this product in my collection for maybe a year and a half at this point, based on when I left Ulta. So I have this Laura Mercier. This is technically the Translucent Loose Setting Powder Ultra Blur in the shade Translucent. It's just the translucent, like, light shade, I guess. So this is nice. This is not my favorite setting powder, mostly because I feel like it does darken products that are underneath it. It does definitely set them down in a deeper tone. Last year, I had a oldest powder foundation product because it was my true oldest foundation. And I do have a similar product in my collection this year. So last year, my oldest powder foundation was at least 10 years old. It was along the same lines as these BareMinerals products. It was a product that I got when I worked at BareMinerals and for some reason just couldn't bring myself to use it. I ended up using it last year and finishing it, which I was very happy about, getting rid of my oldest products. So now my oldest powder foundation is this guy. This is, again, another BareMinerals Original Loose Foundation. I have mine in the shade Golden Ivory before I had mine in the shade Golden Medium, which was a little bit too dark and I could only really wear it in the summer months. This one's a little bit better. I did buy it because it was a step down from the Golden Medium, but not as light as like the lightest foundation that I can wear. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that in the cap, and I'm really only going to center the focus on my coverage. So really just around my nose and then like this blemish that I have down here. Last year, my oldest highlight in my collection was the Becca Moonstone highlight, and I'm so happy to say I no longer have that in my collection. That was at least, I said it was at least 8 years old, but when I really sat and thought about it and how long, like, Josh and I have been together versus how long I had that prior to Josh and I's relationship, I've had that for at least 12 years as well. Like, I had purchased that in high school at some point. Instead, I remember buying this. This is the Mary Lou Manizer. It's not in the Mary Lou Manizer packaging. I recently got rid of the Mary Lou outer packaging and now just have my highlight shade. But this is Mary Lou Manizer. She's beautiful. I remember purchasing this. I remember it was in our first apartment, Josh and I's first apartment. I got so excited that I found that Haute Look site out and I could buy all these more expensive brand products for a discounted price because they were old products, Laura. Like, this is probably such an old highlight. This was probably expired and they were trying to upsell it, and here we are 10 years later and I still have this old ass product in my collection. There is a reason why she is still a staple in the community. I really do love her, and I feel like now my preference is leaning more towards Mary Lou, as before Mary Lou was kind of my precursor into like the realm of highlight, and it was like I always wanted a little extra, a little more than what she could offer. And now I feel like this is absolutely stunning, and this is exactly what I need in my life at this point. Like, I say that, but I still love an extra glow. Another oldie in my collection is gonna be my blush. She's the same one that I mentioned last year, Miss Awestruck. This is a BareMinerals loose blush. This is in the shade Awestruck. I am actively working on trying to finish this year. It's been something that I've been trying to pan for years at this point. And for some reason, I keep telling myself that I don't want to use this up and that I need to like hold on to it because I like the color of this so much. But girl, she's at least 12 years old too. But before I put this on, I do always apply my bronzer first. So last year, my bronzer was 3 years old in my collection, and wouldn't you know, it's the same bronzer, except now it's 4 years old in my collection. This is the Body Shop Coconut Bronze Bronzer in the shade Matte Cocoa Medium 3. I have a huge pan in it. I definitely was focusing on this earlier this year to expand the pan. This is something I would like to eventually see out of my collection, but it's a very orange toned bronzer. And right now it was a little too light for me as I got darker in the summer months. So we're gonna see if I can get this to work today. This is a very powdery bronzer as well, so I don't need a whole lot. I really just dip in my both sides and then I'll zhuzh it on. Yeah, and it's definitely a bit light, which is nice because I can really build this up, but it's also very orange, so I don't want to build it up that much. Otherwise, I start looking a little oompa loompa-y. I've just kind of liked other tones of bronzers recently than this one, so I haven't wanted to reach for this one. All right, now we can go ahead with the blush. This blush I love. This blush is one of my favorite blushes. I love a matte formula blush. I think they're the best to work with because you can always add shimmer on. You cannot take shimmer away. Once a shimmer is kind of there, it's there. So I love a matte blush because I can really cocktail it and make it my own preferred formula. In terms of just adding, like, if I add an eyeshadow onto it, I can get a nice glow. If I add like maybe a more exciting highlight onto it, I can kind of get like a whole different look. I don't have any setting sprays written down, but I know these came into my life relatively at the same time. One is a facial spray, one is a setting spray. I'm just going to use the setting spray just to use the setting spray. This is not something that I talked about in the video last year. Yes, I go hog wild with the setting spray. It's fine. Now that we have all of the face stuff on, let's just wrap up the eyeshadow real quick just to get that done. I'm going to go in again with some BareMinerals shades. This is the shade Velvet Pecan. They came out with matte shadows, again, like 10 years ago. I don't even know if they still sell the matte shadows. It was like a big thing when BareMinerals launched like matte shades. It was a big deal for the BareMinerals girlies. Man, I like this matte. I think that blended out really nicely on my lower lash line. It's not too harsh, which sometimes I know I can definitely get a little grungy with my lower lash line. I prefer a super grunged out lower lash line, if I'm being honest. I like that like grunged out look. So I do want to go ahead and use this blue as a like eyeliner shade, and in order for that, I'm going to mix it with this About Face matte eye primer. This, or matte eye paint, this is not an oldest product. Hard to see, but I do have a bit of that darker pigment with this. So I'm gonna just mix that together. You could also do this with like a eye primer as well. If you can create your own like gel liner. If you didn't know, you could do that. I used to do that quite often with these BareMinerals. All right, and so I guess we have just like my regular eyeliner left, and then my lips, and that's all we get to talk about. In my collection last year, my oldest like pencil eyeliner was a NYX Faux White eyeliner. Do you guys remember when those launched? So that was my oldest eyeliner in my collection. I said it was about 7 years old when how long I had it. Maybe it was a little longer, maybe not. I don't know. I put a mental block on the brain for how old things are in my life. So my oldest eyeliners at this point are going to be these LA Girl Shockwave liners. These are the shades I have left. I finished quite a few of them, but these are the ones I have left. They are definitely drying out. This one in particular and this one in particular, my two favorites of the three that I have in my collection, are definitely drying out at this point. Annoying. But these eyeliners are about 3 or 4 years old in my collection, so I know it's gross, but I want to say they're 4 years old because I've had them longer than we've been in this house, and this is our 3rd year in this house. I love this color eyeliner so much. This may be my actual favorite color of waterline color. I've always liked this kind of color for the waterline. It stemmed when I worked at BareMinerals. They launched a shade that was that color. Loved it so much, and when this one leaves my collection, when these two actually leave my collection, these will be repurchases. This is Fresh and Electric. These will be repurchases. These are my favorite kind of eyeliners. But I do have my lip products in front of me that are my oldest in my collection. So my first oldest is the same as it was last year. It's my lip liner. I have this Colourpop Lippie pencil in the shade BFF3. This last year was in my collection 6 years, and now it's at 7 years. Because that's what happens when things stay in your collection for a long time, is they just get older. So that's all I'm going to do. I know it looks kind of ridiculous, because there's no way this is older than this lip liner. I bought this after that Colourpop BFF3, and I said this is 8 years old. This is my oldest lipstick, though. This is the Kiko Milano Gossamer Emotion lipstick in the shade 105. Does it smell off yet? Sometimes it smells off. It smells like cupcakes today, but I'm going to put this on today. It's cute with this lip liner. I'm not going to lie. It's a little cute with this lip liner. Does it go with the rest of the look? Probably not. If I were going to make this like a cohesive look, I probably would have only put the gloss on. That's my oldest gloss. This is the NYX Butter Gloss in the shade Fortune Cookie. I bought this on a recommendation from Haley. This was her favorite shade, so I bought it. And I like it. It's not my favorite formula for gloss, I'm not going to lie. These butter glosses are nice, but not my favorite. I definitely have other formulas I prefer more. I like a plumping gloss. I think that's my shtick. I just like a plumping gloss. It's fine. It's a cute, like, this is a cute lip look. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this is a very cute lip, but that is my full face of using my oldest makeup in my collection. So in the grand scheme of my collection, these BareMinerals loose eyeshadows are definitely by far the oldest products in my collection. Should I have put them on my eyes? Probably not. Do they irritate my eyes? No, which is very strange that these products that are over 10 years old do, like, just knock on wood, they do not irritate my eyes. However, there are products that are newer in my collection that irritate my eyes. So it just goes to show you the different formulas do and can go off at different times. And I really do think that there is something in with these BareMinerals loose eyeshadows. There's no binder, there's no like ingredient that can really go off. So I feel like the longevity on these things really does last a long period of time because there is no like chemical component adhering them into a pan of eyeshadow or like smushing them into a pan of eyeshadow. So there is some merit, I think, with the loose eyeshadows. And I wonder how like these Ensleigh Rain loose shadows are gonna react in the next couple years if they start to go off quicker just based on the type of pigment and formulate they are, or if these BareMinerals ones will go off eventually. Because man, they still look and perform incredible. Like I still get a good look out of them. Like I definitely can see myself wearing this like in the day-to-day, like in my actual real life. So even though they're so old, they still perform great. Versus there's some new products that I get that I'm like, this is just garbage. Ugh, why did I waste my money on it? So it's just crazy that some of these old products do and can last as long as they have. But I would love to know in the comments below, what are some of your oldest products in your collection? If you think that, man, I need to get rid of some of this stuff, just let me know in the comments. Also, sometimes I need someone else to tell me like, girl, you're gross, get rid of it, so I can actually get rid of something. So I know I've taken a lot of inspiration from some of my friends on Instagram, decluttering shades, just like able to part with things that aren't working for them. And it really does inspire me to take a hard look at my collection and where things aren't serving me. Like, for instance, this is a new kind of development. So this is not an old palette by any means, but this is a new thing. I've scraped out a couple shades, and that was specifically because of my friend Caroline, the panner on Instagram. I noticed that she does that with her palettes. If things aren't serving her, she gets rid of them. And I need to take that mindset and that approach to things. I am going to just throw on this inner corner shade just because I think this would look really cute. This is that kind of inner corner I was talking about with like that UV. I just thought that maybe this would look cute with that look, and I think it does. I think it does. But yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know, again, any of your oldest products in your collection. I would love to know, are you as gross as me? Because I feel like I am the epitome of nasty now that I've filmed this. So I would love to know in the comments below, are you just as gross as me, or is it just me? It could just be me. But I would love to know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're staying healthy, sane, and safe. And I will see you in my next video. Bye. But I would love to know in the comments below, what are some of your oldest products in your collection? If you think that, man, I need to get rid of some of this stuff, just let me know in the comments. Also, sometimes I need someone else to tell me like, girl, you're gross, get rid of it, so I can actually get rid of something. So I know I've taken a lot of inspiration from some of my friends on Instagram, decluttering shades, just like able to part with things that aren't working for them. And it really does inspire me to take a hard look at my collection and where things aren't serving me. Like, for instance, this is a new kind of development. So this is not an old palette by any means, but this is a new thing. I've scraped out a couple shades, and that was specifically because of my friend Caroline, the panner on Instagram. I noticed that she does that with her palettes. If things aren't serving her, she gets rid of them. And I need to take that mindset and that approach to things. I am going to just throw on this inner corner shade just because I think this would look really cute. But yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know, again, any of your oldest products in your collection. I would love to know, are you as gross as me? Because I feel like I am the epitome of nasty now that I've filmed this. So I would love to know in the comments below, are you just as gross as me, or is it just me? It could just be me. But I would love to know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're staying healthy, sane, and safe. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.